Well, I usually do these semen retention videos on Sunday for Semen Retention Sunday, but it is Monday at the time that I'm filming this because yesterday was so busy. I was just very filled day, and I didn't have any time whatsoever to film a video. So we're gonna get the semen retention video out today on Monday. And today I want to talk about how you don't even realize what you're missing out on until you try semen retention. You don't know the full extent in which you can live a fulfilling life, even when life is just throwing a left jab, right cross, uppercut to you. You're taking all of the hits, and yet you're still standing. You're hard to kill, and you're becoming more and more hard to kill by the day. By the day, you're becoming more difficult and more harder to kill. It's like you think that semen retention gives you, some of the people that have tried semen retention for a long duration of time, they think that semen retention gives them these like benefits or powers, right? And usually after a while, between about 30 days to 90 days, usually at some point there's like a moment where a man has to recognize that, like, okay, he's no longer experiencing like the benefits. It's just his natural way of life now. And yet it's like he becomes so elevated that he becomes used to the elevation. And he starts to think like, oh, maybe I'm not getting those benefits anymore. It's like, no, this is just who you were supposed to be all along. And now you're seeing the full extent of what you could have been all along. And now the purification process is ever ensuing into a extravagant upward trajectory in which, even if it feels like you take 2 steps forward and 10 steps back, you're still gaining so much in your character. You're still gaining so much. Like you might lose a lot. Like a lot of people gain a lot. A lot of people have their finances improve, their relationships improve, their business improves, whatever it is that they've got going on. Maybe they're gardening. I've had some people, talk about their gardening and such, and how it just feels like they have a green thumb now, which is a very strange thing. But like, this is just kind of the randomness, and it depends on the person. It varies on the person to person basis on what's actually happening for the individuals, because the individuals are going to be the ones that are actually able to identify what are the changes in their life. What are the things that they're going through? What is making them different? And this is something that you have to really ponder yourself and really ask yourself as you're going through this purification process and the process of refinement. When you get to the point in which you have the fire in your soul, like you just have the will to keep fighting, you're like Rocky getting hit in the face over and over because that's your only shield, apparently, right? You're just Adrian. Like, you're just getting hit all over, and yet you're still standing. Remember, there's that moment in Rocky where Rocky's just getting the crap beat out of him. Like, he's just, the guy is just getting brutally beat. They have to cut his eye open at one point because he can't even see, which actually is very illegal now, is in the boxing ring, as far as I'm concerned and aware. Not really concerned, but as far as I'm aware. And so they cut his eye to try to like help him see more, which would be totally illegal now. And he gets up, and his opponent, Apollo Creed, just looks at him like, is this guy for real? Like, this guy's gonna keep going? This is exactly the kind of mentality that you're going to naturally have on semen retention, even when you are feeling the existential crisis, because that will come on semen retention if you're doing it for the purpose of growing closer to Jesus Christ and God. If you're getting closer to God and your purpose is to get closer to God on semen retention and just to make it a lifestyle, I talk a lot about this. I talk a lot about just making semen retention a lifestyle. It doesn't need to be so extravagant. It doesn't need to be so like some people just take it too personally or think too much about it. I think, and this goes with a lot of different kinds of situations in life, but that's just something that we have to recognize, is that you don't need to take it personally. You don't need to take it too seriously all the time, right? Like, take it sincerely, but don't be too serious about it, because being too serious about it is going to lead you to making mistakes, and you're going to be making mistakes, and you're going to be feeling as though you're in a situation or a position where you have to compromise your integrity to do something. And if you ever feel like you have to compromise your integrity to do something, it's probably not the right thing to do. And I know, even myself, there's been times where I have felt as though I had to really make an effort and make something out of nothing, really. And there were all different kinds of situations like this in my life, and I didn't know exactly how I was going to do it. It's really like I had to pull something out of my behind, right? But this kind of stuff is just easier on semen retention. You have the resources, you have the skills, you have the network to do things. You feel the vitality of life flowing through you. You feel as though you're a force of nature. Like I said, you're hard to kill. Like, you just keep getting hit in the face, and yet you keep coming back fighting. And remember, in Rocky, he actually lost that fight, right? He actually lost the fight at the very end. But if you notice that by the end of the movie isn't even about winning or losing. It's about the courage to continue going and to continue moving forward, right? To continue just pushing through no matter what happens. And I don't think a lot of men are ever going to really feel this vitality until they get on semen retention, until they understand the true benefits of semen retention. It's like, you don't even know how amazing life can really be, because you're so focused on worshiping the pink palace, and you're so focused on mundane and superfluous things, that the epistemological framework that you have and that you hold in your mind is just completely eradicated and subjected to these whimsical feelings of false desires of the flesh. Like, and I say they're false desires even though they are real desires. The flesh desires are real, but they're false because it's not always going to be in accordance to God's will. And I would say that anything that is not really in accordance to God's will is a form of deception by nature, almost, right? It's a form of it's a form of something by nature that if for example you are in a situation where there are so many different possibilities of what could occur, and you don't know what the right step to take is, you don't know what the right move is, well, the way that you know what's right is to stick to your principles. And in order to stick to your principles, you have to have a disciplined mind. In order to have a disciplined mind, you have to have the will to see yourself for who you really are, and to accept yourself for who you really are, and to be able to transcend that in spite of, like, because you might be, I know I myself, like, speaking to me, there was one point when I was about 200 pounds, and I'm 5'6", so I was a hefty boy. And I looked at myself in the mirror, and I said to myself, "You're fat. Do you want to be like this for the rest of your life? Do you really want to live like this for the rest of your life?" And I was looking at myself in the mirror, and I said, "No, like, I really don't." And I still didn't do anything about it. There was like a series of events that led me to lose the weight and get in shape. And it wasn't until I was playing Fortnite one day, this was, 4.5 years ago now. And I was playing Fortnite, And when I had played the game, I was losing really bad, even though like I got second place, but I lost terribly in that last little bit. And I was so upset, I was so upset, and I was eating my pizza and I was having ice cream, just very gluttonous as far as a consumerist viewpoint in life I was living. Even though I was still getting closer to God and I wasn't quite following Christ at that time yet, there were still many things that I had to learn, and one of those was to let go of the consumption and to create more. And creating is a dangerous thing for me because, well, it's dangerous for anybody, I think, because the act of creation is almost an act of, I wouldn't necessarily say rebellion, because I don't think it's a rebellious spirit, but it's like the art of creation itself is something very profound that changes the soul, that amplifies the soul, that really allows you to transcend certain things without feeling encumbered by the world. And that's what creation does. That's what creation is. And so anyway, like, it's just so powerful of an example. Like, everything is so powerful. Sometimes the life force that you have inside you itself, which is a form of creativity, is just so powerful that you have to express it, even if it doesn't make sense to you, right? And so I was playing video games, and I had lost Fortnite, and I thought to myself, well, I could keep being a loser, and I could keep eating pizza and ice cream, or I could start aiming to be a winner and start doing push-ups. And that's when I threw away the pizza and the ice cream at the time, and I started to do push-ups. The thing is that I didn't realize exactly what I was getting myself into. Like, I didn't realize exactly how profound of a life I was actually living in the moment, just to make that decision. And at the time, I wasn't practicing semen retention consciously, but I was, trying to wane off of the corn at the time. And because I never really was like, it was still too much corn to watch, but I watched at least once or twice a week, maybe, corn, but I didn't do it other than that really too much. I didn't really care to. But I stopped trying. I tried to stop watching corn in about July of 2021, and it wasn't until October of 2021 when I really had like this moment where I saw myself watching the corn, like in a third person perspective, and I thought to myself, this is weird, dude. Why are you doing this? Like, this is weird. So all of these moments that I had was like when I was able to step outside myself and look at myself objectively and still just accept who I really was. Like, that's who I was in that moment. But I could do something to change it. I had the power to change it. I had the power to do whatever I needed to change this. So all this is going to say that you don't even know what you're missing. You don't know what you're capable of until you actually try to reach those limitations or your capabilities. And so I encourage every person out there to step outside your comfort zone. Remember, I'm not encouraging you to sin or make mistakes, but sometimes you got to learn. Sometimes the biggest mistakes you'll make are going to be the best ones, because those are the ones that you'll never, ever, ever forget. And you'll always and always and always remember those things, because you'll remember never to want to go back there ever again. So, this is semen retention is a pathway to do this. It's not, a lot of people put semen retention up as like a pedestal for God, and it's not. Semen retention is not God, okay? And your benefits, your all those things, like, that's just who you actually are at your fullest. They're not really benefits. You were just so depleted before that you didn't know what you were truly capable of. So with all that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful for you. If you want to schedule a one-on-one mentorship call with me, or sign up for the Regal Change Academy, the online school and community group that we have, check out the links in the description box below. Peace be with you all. Until next time.